Get your name.
Yes, Artesia B.O.M.B.E.R.
How do we spell that?
We're going to spell that A-R-T-I-C-I-A, and B.O.M.B.E.R is B.O.M.B.E.R.
Okay. And are you a resident of Michigan?
I am.
Okay. For how many years?
For over 45 years.
Okay. So you are over the age of 18.
I'm 48 years old.
All right. Did you personally witness all the events we're going to discuss?
Yes.
Okay. What days were you involved in the election this year?
November the 3rd and November the 4th.
Okay. Where were you on the 3rd?
I was at TCF Center, downtown Detroit.
Okay. And what time were you there at first?
I arrived there between 9 and 9:30 p.m.
Okay. And how long did you stay?
Over until the next day of November the 4th, around 6:30 a.m.
Okay. Was that the only time you were there? Was that one stint?
They would not let me in the second time to come back.
Gotcha. Okay. So what was your role when you were there?
Poll challenger.
Okay. Were you trained?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Who were you representing as a poll challenger?
Well, I was a U.S. taxpayer party, but I was under the Michigan GOP training.
U.S. Taxpayers, the organization?
U.S. Taxpayers Party of Michigan. It's a party. I was a candidate.
Okay. Okay, great. So, what did you witness?
Well, I witnessed a lot.
Okay, take your time.
I took notes so that I could be able to have my notes in case I needed them.
When we get done, would it be okay if we either scan those or keep them and send them back?
You may.
Okay.
You can scan them today, and I'll take them back with me today.
Okay.
Okay. So around 9:30, between 9:30 and 10, we were at room 260 upstairs in TCF building, where we all had to gather to get instructions to cover our shirts in case we had shirts on that had Donald Trump or anything that showed a party.
Right.
We were forced to cover our shirts with black T-shirts that they bought lots of packages of sitting on the counter.
Okay.
I refused to put the T-shirt on because I told them I would just cover it up with my jacket, which I did. I had Donald Trump buttons, I had John James T-shirts, so I covered them up. I zipped my jacket up and covered it up. When we got downstairs to a room, I don't know the room number, but we were all directed to go downstairs to the first floor and into a big room, a real huge room, where there were news reporters, all cameras, just action. There was a bit of a line. We were in the line waiting to get our tables.
Okay.
We would go past them. They would want to make sure that we had this sticker who scanned our temperature on the way in. My temperature was 96.9. And this is my credentials, TCF poll challenger. As well, I was also a poll challenger in the daytime of November the 3rd as well. I went around to various precincts and I saw things there too that was fraud. But we'll stick to TCF for now. So we get to the lady, there was a few ladies at a table, and we get downstairs just to make sure we got scanned and to sign in. We did so. My table was 123 and 120. Both tables were positioned right next to each other, and they were right up front, right by all the cameras. Couldn't miss me. Mm-hmm. When we got there, around 11:43, between 11 and 11:30, an announcement came on the microphone by the moderator there, a black guy. He announced, we need all of the table leads to come over to the far left corner if I'm facing that way. And they all went piling to the left to this meeting that they had. The other poll workers were sitting at the table still.
And this is the night of election?
This is the night of election,
okay,
between
gotcha.
11 and 11:30 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, after they had the meeting, they announced that the ballot counting will begin. So, we are, as poll challenger, we're already positioned at our tables, and the table outline looked like this. So you would have, the lead is number 1, and the ballots would go around the table in this direction.
So you mentioned this gentleman that spoke with all the team leads. Do you know what he said?
We couldn't hear him. He had a secret meeting with them over into a corner.
Okay.
He had several secret meetings with them. He called them more than twice to the corner, during counting, before counting, and after counting.
Do you know who that guy was?
No, but I'll be able to describe him.
Okay.
And he was a black man, and he was dark skinned. He was around maybe between 5'8" and 6 feet tall. And he would have these meetings with the leads. Well, at my particular table, which was 123, we had a black man about maybe 5'8" in height, dark with glasses, a little bald on the top. He said something very disturbing before they started counting. His words were, he was talking to one of the other poll workers at the table. He told the poll worker, "This is our house tonight, right?" And the poll worker said yes. And he said, "So from now on, they're going to do what we tell them to do." So I take that as, this is our house, the Democrats, and the Republicans or independents and anybody else outside of there is going to do what we tell them to do tonight.
So how did you know the man that said this was a Democrat?
Because he said that he was a Democrat when he was asked.
Okay.
Yes. What I observed also was all of the leads that they were calling to the meeting, most of them had Black Lives Matter face mask on. Also, the blue mask with vote in the corner on the face, like the one our governor, Gretchen, wears in her interviews. And they were blue. We as poll challenge were told we can't show anything, but the poll workers was allowed to wear everything. They had Biden shirts, everything you can think of that was for Democrats.
So just to make sure we're clear, what in your mind was the significance of them being blue?
Intimidation. In my mind, it was Democrats, of course.
Because
saying
blue
vote.
is the Democrat Party.
Yes, blue is pertain to Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. So right away that was very intimidating because I went with 5 Caucasian women, and I was the only African American woman with my crew. And I felt very bad for them and disturbed for them because they were frightened. They were older women than me, and they were frightened from the Black Lives Matter mask. They were dogged out right in front of me.
Dogged out?
Dogged out, saying when the poll workers would talk to us and say, "Oh, you look nice," because they were flirting with me big time, and my mouth stayed sealed because they already gave us instructions. We're not allowed to talk to poll workers at all because they can kick you out. Well, they would keep talking to us and distract us and hit on us. And they even told the one poll worker came hollering out the back, "You're not allowed to talk to them. You can't talk to the poll workers," talking to my lady friend. And me. She was talking to us as a group. And I told the ladies, I said, "Look, y'all have to be quiet." Well, they talked to me first. I said, "I don't care. I don't care if they say you're pretty, your dog has nice fur, you drive a beautiful car. Do not talk to them because they will throw us out." And that's their excuse to try to throw you out.
So is that what you meant by they were getting dogged out? Is that they were just trying to trick them into breaking the rules?
Yes, they did. They were breaking them, and then they would dog them out and tell them you can't talk after they made the first conversation.
Gotcha.
They were talking to us first. We would not talk to them. They would come and say things to us. People like, "What party are you from?" My mouth stayed sealed. Some of the ladies are just friendly and they wanted to answer the questions, but I kept making them aware, do not talk to them. They are not the friends right now. They are doing their job.
So did you feel that the poll workers were colluding to get Republican poll watchers ejected?
They were definitely colluding to get us ejected, but for my group, I kept on them hard. Do not talk to them. Do not act antagonistic. No matter what they do, we are here for a job, and that is to challenge the polls.
Okay.
But you personally witnessed them trying to trick Republican poll watchers into breaking the rules. So
they tried to trick me. They would hit on me and say, "Where are you from?" Or, "You look beautiful. Your hair is just so beautiful." They were doing all of this, distracting us. While we're talking to us, they're taking letters out of envelopes. When I walked around the table around after 12 midnight into November the 4th, I observed one of the ladies, So this is how the table looked. She sat up at the top at number 4. I observed her look in the envelope, saw it was said all straight ticket red, Republican straight ticket. She looked at it and she turned her nose and she tapped the lady that's next to her, which would be sitting right here. And they both looked at it and rolled their eyes and they folded it back up and they shoved it back in the envelope. Well, that's not the process. The process is once you take that out of the envelope, you pass it around to this person. And it goes back around this person, and it goes down here. Well, they weren't doing that. Every time I observed a straight ticket or I saw Donald Trump's name circled in, they would shove it back in the envelope and they would put it back in the pile.
Every time?
Every time they saw it, they would shove. It was so many votes. They even had USPS boxes stacked up by the 3s under each person. And on the top of those ballots was either red straight ticket or you could see Donald Trump's name shaded in. And they were all on the floors. All tables had these boxes. When I went around monitoring, they were all on the floors. They were either straight tickets or somebody shaded his name in and just went across the ballot with different shadings in other areas. And they were sitting on the floor. And so I asked the man that was sitting right here, why are these still sitting on the floor? He said, oh, they were already counted. But remember, we just started the counting a little bit past 11:30 p.m. on November the 3rd. So how could all those be counted that quick? It was impossible with a capital I.
So how many of these straight red ticket or votes for President Trump did you witness approximately go back into the envelope or whatever after they were taken out?
So they came in a pack of 50. Okay. Out of the 50, it would be maybe just 2 that they were happy about. So I didn't get, and just like 2 ballots that would come out, they would put the rest of them back in the envelope because they count 50 at a time. 2 or 3 would be happy in each pile. Would never be more than 5 ballots that they were happy about that they actually passed around and rolled out. One girl would roll them up and then she would roll them out with her hand and to straighten them to make sure, I guess, they're going to get fed in a tabulator or something.
So how many groups of 50 did you witness this happen with?
Oh my God. More than 50. More than 100.
Which table was this? Was this both tables?
So there were 2 tables together. 123 right here and 120 right here. Both the same. I went and looked under their table. It was all either straight red tickets or Donald Trump tickets right there. When I went up to look close, they saw me looking and they would cover the top ballots up. They covered them up. I also observed, and I want to get these times straightened out because I wrote my notes while I was there. So I guess I told you that I saw tons of votes for Trump were put to the side and said that they already counted them already. Around 5, I'm sorry, let me go backwards. Oh, so tons of Trump vote ballots were being removed from envelopes and ladies rolled their eyes and put back in envelope. Those are my notes.
Do you know what happened to them after they got put in the boxes?
They took the ones that was in envelope and put them back in a black thing on their desk. And on the computer screen, they had a name of a church. I was trying to write it down. It was like Mont something Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, something like that, to where these computers were, I don't know if they were donated or what, but it had a church label on them. It was church labels on the computer. They would override so many ballots that I saw. They would put in a scanner, and then on there it would say, are you sure you want to override to them, like something, in other words, it's a Republican ballot, but they went in and overrid the system, and they would take the mouse and click yes, and a green check mark would come in and says processed or some. But this was after they kept overriding each and every last ballot that they put into their scanner that was on their table. They would override them. Not one time did I see one go through and it was just went through. They were overriding ballots.
What do you mean by overriding?
They would click in the system. So if my vote is for a Democrat, you can override it to Republican. If it's a Republican, you can override it to Democrat. It specifically says, do you want to override it? And they were overriding them. I couldn't believe that the access that they was allowed to do in such a national election. It was shocking.
So did you try to challenge any of these poll workers or challenge this process in any way? It's kind of a tricky situation because it sounds like what you're telling me is that there were a lot of Republican votes or Trump votes that potentially were not being counted
At all.
That seemed to be what you were implying by saying the process was not being followed. Am I correct?
Yes.
So there's not a vote to challenge there. How do you challenge the lack of a vote is my question.
So I would, because we couldn't talk to them, when I saw it happening, I would go, because as soon as I would say something to them, I can get thrown out. I did not want to get thrown out. This was a serious case, a serious matter. I could have been at home or at a victory party celebrating. I was on the ballot. I could have been at home celebrating. I wasn't looking for my name in the pile. I was looking on the injustice that they were doing to see if these are red tickets or blue tickets.
Did you raise the issue with any of the supervisors or team leads?
Yes, we did. We raised them with attorneys that were on the floor. There were attorneys on the floor for the poll challengers.
Do you know which attorney?
It was a white man. He had gray hair. I mean, I'm sorry, it was a white man. He was skinny. He had a big blue jacket on. He was very thorough. He had a whole book, clipboard, taking notes, telling us that he's taking it down for us and everything. We even had a ballot counter, impersonate a poll challenger. She came up to me after she saw me following a man. So one of the ballots I saw, a few of them, but this particular ballot had cursive written on the ballot. Right up under the strip that you tear, the barcode, they had cursive handwriting written on the ballot in three sentences, sentences. He was reading it, and it didn't even have a number on the barcode. So let me tell you that too. A lot of the ballots that they were putting through, and it didn't even have digits at the top. No digits at all. So I followed this man with the one with the cursive writing. He walked, so the table's here, he walked to the right side over to another person's table, to a lady, a black lady, and she was looking at it and reading, and she was looking above, and she was looking back. Oh, you're too close. She was telling me I'm too close, and I know I was 6 feet or more back. That was why it's so hard to read, because you can't read this from over there, and that's how far I was standing away. But I saw her take the ballot and fold it and was about to attempt to put it down. I said, that's all I could say, because I couldn't talk to them. I was like, and I had my mask on too. And she would look back and roll her eyes at me, and she would give it back to him. Well, while she was going that way, I was following him, but I noticed a tall white man was at the tabulators. The actual tabulators were sitting in a middle aisle. He was at the tabulator, and this caught my eye, then following the man, which I did follow him for some time, and I told one of my lady friends to go follow him. So that would be Linda Sawyer. She followed him. When I saw the tabulator, a man was spraying this chemical all up in there, just spraying. We don't know what it was. It had a long straw on it, like WD-40 stuff you would spray that puts the stem on it. He was just spraying all in the tabulator.
He was spraying on the screen?
Spraying inside of it. You lift the roller up where you feed the ballots through. It was open, and he was spraying stuff all up in there. Then he peeled off. He looked up in the part where where the ballot reads. So the ballot numbers are usually right here, the barcodes, and you put it in like this. Well, in that part of the machine, he went in there, and I saw him dig out and pull off white. It looked like correction tape. Well, it was correction tape, because not only I witnessed him walking around with this correction tape, but a lot of other people did as well, and they took notes.
So can you explain the significance of that? What happens if somebody has correction tape on a ballot and then he goes and removes it? What do you think's going on there?
Well, actually, it wasn't on the ballot. It was inside of the tabulator. So that means if you put the ballot through, it won't read anything, and you can override and push yes, I'm overriding.
So this is just like a strip of paper you can use to mess with the machine?
It was a whole strip of white correction tape that I saw him place back in that same area after he peeled it out, because the ballots were getting jammed. The ballots that he had in his hands had 50 stack of them, and they had no numbers at the top.
So how would it, I'm curious about how a tabulating machine would even read that ballot if there's no numbers on it.
Well, I would assume that it doesn't read it and that you can go in the system and, like I said, put down this is a blue ticket or this is a red ticket or this is an independent ticket. And it was a pile of 50 and the man put them in and I would count them as they go in. Shoom. So I count 1, 2. I would do like this 3, 4, 5. I would keep counting. It would be 27 that would go through and the rest would get stuck. Guess what he would do? Continue to put those same 27 in instead of putting those 27 to the side that was red already and put the remaining ones in that would equal up to 50. He did not do that. Instead, he put that same amount in over 10 times.
He put the same ballots in 10 times.
Over 10 times.
So the machine doesn't have a way to know whether the same ballot or barcode or number or whatever's already been put in?
How? You covered the sensor. You covered the reader. The reader was covered for a fact because he even peeled it off. Because after so long...
I see. Okay, so the correction tape you're talking about
Yes.
is over a scanner. Like, kind of like when you go to the store or something and you scan your groceries in the barcode.
Yes.
He was covering that up.
Yes, he was also peeled the whitening off because after so many ballots go through, it's going to get crumbled up. It's only it's sticky, it's tape.
Okay.
It's correction tape. So he would peel that off, like stretch it on off, and peel it. It'll be wrinkled up, and he would do like this to it, and then he would take another piece of the white tape, look around, and slide it on in there, right under that reader, and put the same exact balance in again.
You saw him do that?
I saw him do this.
Do you know his name?
I do not know the man's name. They was not showing identification. They had their badges turned to the other side, which is the opposite way what they're supposed to show.
So correction tape man, can you describe him to us?
He was tall, white, and his hair looked a little bit like yours, a little gray, a little dark. And he was supposed to be, he looked like he was the maintenance of the tabulators.
And how tall do you think he was?
So I am 5'8.5". He looked like he was a baby about just a little bit taller than me. He was a slim guy.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
He's taller than him.
Okay, how tall are you?
5'9".
He's a little bit taller than him.
Okay.
Maybe over his height.
About 6'2".
You're about a little bit shorter than you. Might come up to the bottom of your eyes.
He's about 6 feet.
Okay.
And he was slim.
Age?
So,
His age, approximately?
I'm 48 and I look young, so I couldn't tell you. He could have been, I would say, between 40s and 50s, or maybe 60s. Just look, whatever. But
And you said pretty skinny?
he was slim. He wasn't skinny, but he was slim. He wasn't big. He wasn't, he was slim.
What was he wearing?
He had a jacket on, and if I'm not mistaken, he might have even had a cap on. But he was the one over there spraying it down. I'm talking about spraying all up in there. And I saw a stack of, well, not a stack of, but the front page of said Republican Party, and they did not put those through. They left those to the side.
Did he have the correction tape with him the whole time?
He walked around. Other witnesses observed him walking around with correction tape. And it makes sense now because I actually saw him putting it in there.
And you said your friend Linda Sawyer saw him.
Linda Sawyer, Cheryl
names?
Constantina. You're going to get some witnesses that we have not even talked to each other yet.
Yeah.
They can't believe, like, all these people have the same allegations. All of us cannot be not telling the truth.
You said Cheryl Constantina?
Cheryl Constantina, Linda Sawyer, 3 other ladies was with us. I don't know their names because I had just met them that night.
Sure.
But I was trained by Cheryl Constantina. She's the chairperson over the Michigan GOP in Grosse Points.
How many tabulator machines were there?
So I only witnessed one tabulator machine there because that was my focus once I saw him working on it.
Sure, okay. But you saw him roaming to all the other ones as well?
I saw him at this particular one, just kept on doing stuff to that one. And he was on that one for like in front of me, a good 30 to 40 minutes.
Was there anybody else who you saw with correction tape other than him?
We just saw just one person walking around with correction tape all night.
And that was this guy?
That was him.
But were you mainly in one area, or were you kind of roaming around the whole?
I was mainly in the one area watching 123 and 120, and we had another lady named Linda was going around. She saw things, she put it in. She actually was able to put challenges in. I got the training to do that, but I had to stay focused and make my notes.
Do you think there's any other possible reason you would put correction tape inside a tabulator machine?
The only reason for putting the correction tape is to either override the system or to not let the numbers that Donald Trump had coming in show. I mean, it was tons of them. Every table had either a red straight ticket circled in it or it had Donald J. Trump's name circled in it.
For the tabulator machine that you observed, did it have correction tape the entire night?
Well, I can't tell you what was in there for the entire night.
Well, the times that you
Yeah, when I was there, it was already some in there, and I saw him peel it out, and then I saw him place it back in there. I'm thinking it's part of the machine because the part in there is white in the machine.
Before, when you described it, you said he looked around.
Yes, he would look around, and he
What did you interpret that look around to mean?
to find out and see if anybody's watching him. And when he turned around and looked around, I would play it off and look around myself. News cameras were there. It was bright lights. One particular news camera looked very angry at me that I was doing my job. He had the light shining bright on me, and I tried to turn this way, and he would follow me with the light would follow the side of my peripheral vision.
Mm-hmm.
So he was following me, and he's looking very evil in the face at me. I can't assume anything, but in my opinion, he was mad, and he was part of the process of the fraud. And he was mad that I was taking concern in the actions of the fraud.
So do you know what channel he was with?
I don't.
Okay.
But I can tell you that I know the channels were there. I seen W.D.E.T.I.O.N there. On news radio, I seen W.D.I.V. I saw Fox 2 News. I saw WXYZ. And a host of other news radio channel trucks outside. And there was a lot of police officers surrounding the building, and they were padlocked. All the doors except for one main door.
So for correction tape guys, so to come back to that,
Yes.
did anybody call him over, or did he go by himself?
Well, I didn't know that part because he was already at the machine while I was observing the guy with the ballot that had handwriting on him. So for about 10 piles, it would be 51 ballots in there, and it would be a ballot with cursive handwriting on each one. So out of 10 piles of 50, there was cursive writing in the corners as if these ballots were already there, and this is part of the fraud.
And even
This
though
is my assumption.
you couldn't read the cursive, but was could you tell from 6 feet away whether it was the same handwriting
Same handwriting.
of the cursive?
All across the board. It was the same. It was in the same spot, and it was 3 lines worth of cursive.
Was it
So,
in pencil or pen?
It looked like it was in either pencil or light black ink pen.
Okay, great. And then the ballots on the floor that the people at the table did not count, you didn't see what ended up with those ballots.
They told me that those ballots were already counted, but they were sitting there when we arrived in there to do the poll challenging before they even made an announcement to start. And every time, these people were super excited to poll. People were super excited, and every time he would make an announcement, how we doing out there? They was like, woo! And who would do that if you got thousands of Trump votes? So they were like, woo! We're doing a great job, that's fraud.
So did you perceive that the people who were cheering were favoring the Democrats?
Favoring the Democrats, absolutely. Even the Black Lives Matter mask people was, woo! The people that wore the Gretchen Whitmer mask, woo! They were super excited. And we wonder, how is somebody super excited? Oh, let me tell you another thing they got super excited
And
about.
these are the people who were counting the votes.
These are people that sat at the tables.
Paid election workers.
Paid election workers at $600 a pop and more.
Yeah.
And guess what? You would think they're tired. Oh no. They made an announcement before they asked us to watch the ballot. You can take out your cell phones and you can use them. Just don't do any recording or take pictures. Everybody was clapping, woo! And that is totally against the rules. You are not supposed to have your cell phone out.
What did you think they allowed them to do that for?
Probably to just make them feel happy that they're stuck there, and maybe they can play a game while they sit there. Because some of them were getting bored, some of them were getting tired. You can see their face. But every time they would say, how we doing out there? They was like, woo! Like, we doing the proud. We got these. We got this. And I'm telling you, it was no other feeling in me but that feeling.
Okay.
And also, one of the guys there because I wanted to make sure I read these notes. So, around, like I said, 4:03, they made the announcement. 50 boxes just came in. Woo! Who wants to count 50 more boxes? Who's happy about that?
When
At
did-
4:03 a.m.
What time? You said
It was around
4:03?
4:03 a.m. in the morning.
This was the day after election.
This is November the 4th, going into the November the 4th.
This is late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning.
And
early
they,
Wednesday
and they said
morning.
50 boxes?
They said, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to announce that 50 boxes just came in.
Why did they typically announce that new boxes had come in?
No. And they also made an announcement before that. Somebody left their boxes up here, and we need to get people to come back up here. Y'all left boxes up here. We still have too many boxes left up here. We need y'all table leads to send somebody up to come get them.
What was in the boxes?
We don't know. I don't know. We
Where
never
were they?
saw them open.
Were they ballot boxes?
There were ballot boxes.
They
There were
showed-
tons of big black ballot boxes sitting in the middle of the floor. We never saw open. They never opened these boxes in front of us.
So were those the blank ballots perhaps that they use for duplication when there is a defective ballot?
No, these are supposed to be ballots that were signed, checked off,
Or
of whoever they voted
completed.
for. Completed ballots.
Did you see who put those boxes there at 4:03?
No, those boxes were sitting in there when we arrived. A whole slew of them in a row, sitting down the line.
So you left before that?
Left before who?
So they were there at 4:03.
They were there at 11:30 on November the 3rd, on election night. All
No,
of them sat in the middle
The 50 boxes?
No, not the 50 boxes that came in at 4:03. These were boxes already in the aisleway.
Right, so the 50 boxes from 4:03.
So 4:03.
You didn't see who
We
brought
never even saw them.
Who would have seen them?
We don't know because we never saw them. And then at around 5:15 a.m., they announced, "Well, thank you everybody. All of the boxes have been counted."
Where were the 50 boxes?
Say it again.
Where in where at TCF? Did you see the 50 boxes?
We did not see the 50 boxes at all.
Oh, okay.
I did not see it. I'm sorry to say we.
Yeah.
Me personally did not see any 50 boxes at all.
They just announced it.
They just announced it, and within an hour, they said, "Well, thank you, you guys. You checked all of the boxes, and they're all checked, and you can start cleaning off your tables." And woo! They were so happy.
So I'm sorry. What time did they say that again? That they had all been counted?
About around between 5 and 5:15 a.m.
Okay. Do you think you could count that many boxes in that
You
amount?
cannot count even one box that fast because it's a process. You would have to give them the ballots. You would have to give them 50 apiece. You would have to have them come up and get them. Then they would have to go down. They would have to use this system at their table first before it even goes to the middle where the tabulators sit.
Could you see the whole room at this point?
You can just see the whole room like this. You can't see the tables. You can't see it. But I did walk around when I told you, when I saw the boxes, the UPS boxes stacked up in like 3s and 4s with Republican parties on them around the table, around the tables until they saw us aware of them because we weren't supposed to be that close. There's no way we would have seen them from you over there and they're on the floor. But we would walk up and go up in and look. So the guy was flirting with me. I kept walking around his area. Since he likes flirting, I might as well look at his area first because he's trying to distract me. Hey, you're flirting, so I'm going to look in the box while you're doing so.
So the 50 boxes at 4 a.m., did you see what part of the room they may have gone to?
No, there's no way they came. It was only the door open right here, the front door. We did not see 50 boxes come in at all whatsoever. Everything else was locked off, like I told you. There was only escalators to go up and down to the eating rooms, to where you eat at. A lot of the poll workers that were working, they had big luggages, big suitcases, big coolers, and they fed you great there. You didn't even have to bring food. They had plenty of food. It was like a buffet of food. You had drinks, coffee, anything you wanted in the room 260 where the poll challengers were, and as well they had a huge cafeteria for the poll workers. They can eat and drink anything they wanted, but they had big, huge boxes under their table that belonged to them. They were super excited, and there's no way you're super excited unless you know something.
So wait, did you have access to go eat and drink whatever you wanted in this room as well, or was that?
No, we could not go in that room. They separated us. They had us always continue to go back to room 260.
Okay, the Republicans were at room 260, and who was in this other room with all the food and
So,
drink and everything?
Democrats.
Okay, got it. And there were boxes in there, you said.
They had them under their tables already. People had their own big, huge boxes and big coolers. And we was like, wow, this, no checking for security. I could have had 10 guns in my backpack. They didn't check for nothing. They just let you in.
So what do you think was in those coolers and stuff?
I don't know. It could have been food. It could have been balance. It could have been all type of things. We weren't able to know.
Gotcha. Anything else you want to tell us?
Yes. So I thought it was very. Also, the one poll worker that impersonated as a poll challenger, I asked her, I said, are you a poll challenger? And she just shook her head, yeah. Because I was on a road following the one guy. And she told me, oh, he's okay, he's straight. Pull your mask up. She started talking to me real mean, and I would pull it up. She's like, pull up some more. Some more. And a poll challenger is not going to do that to us. They're not. Us poll challenger, one thing about it, we didn't know each other at all, but we all were respectful when we knew who each other was, because we was there for one job and one job only, and that's to challenge the poll and secure the votes and make sure justice is being done with this election.
The announcement at 4:03 was
Between that time.
roughly around that time. Would there, if anybody was there, could they have missed that announcement?
No, there's no such thing. They had the microphone. They announced it over the microphone.
So everybody heard it.
Everybody can hear it. Even if you were upstairs, you can hear it announced.
Who was speaking on the microphone? Do you
The
know?
moderator, which was a black man. He was the only one the whole time keep making announcements over the speaker.
This is
the
the same
one you talked about at the beginning?
Yes, the same black man, yes.
And so he's the same one who said that they had gotten 50 boxes at 4:03, and the same one who said, an hour and a half later that they counted all the ballots.
Yes, and prior to, when they said the boxes came in, he asked for another meeting. He had like 3 to 4 meetings with these leads. Why? There's no such thing as you're supposed to walk away from the table. We didn't have a meeting. We didn't say, all poll challengers, let's go upstairs and go have a meeting. He kept calling them for meetings. And I assume that is because they kept getting so many complaints. So many people were challenging. And they kept having these meetings. And they would come back after the meeting and go, woo! Like, I had never seen anybody so super excited in my life and don't know the results.
Wow. Anything else that jumps out at you?
Let me see.
We got another lady who's going to be here in 5 minutes who has an appointment at 10, so I want to be sure we take it.
Okay.
This is a fantastic interview, by the way. I hate to have to rush you at the end.
No problem. I think my job is done here.
Okay, one more question for you.
Yes.
Did anybody offer you any payment or compensation to come talk to us today?
None. This is volunteer. This is for justice. And this is for to go to court, all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. Because I saw what I saw, I made notes, and justice needs to be served. This election was cheated, and it needs to be redone.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have confidence in the results?
I have confidence that Trump will be redeemed and he will be the winner.
But in the Wayne County election results, do you have any confidence in the results?
I don't have any confidence in any of the election process now after this fraud happened before my eyes. I'm traumatized by it. Someone put me in a hotel for the weekend so I can have rest, so I can be rested because I'm traumatized by this. It hurts my heart, my spirit, my soul, all of the above. It's traumatizing.
Thank
I
you.
cried and everything, so this is serious. I don't know. I have never personally met Donald Trump in my life. My spirit is torn and everything. It took my whole faith out of the justice system. And I hope that with this interview, it can help justice move forward.
Thanks. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much.